Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar, so sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys to please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course, I always do greatly appreciate it. So I'm not going to be talking too much about price. I just do like to see Bitcoin back above 30K. I'm hoping that, this area that we're basically at on Bitcoin is just kind of solidifying a nice, solid support zone. It would be great to kind of build a floor here, similar to what we did see back in the summer of 2021. It's hard to say exactly if we are going to continue to build that or if we will break down because we don't have enough price data just yet to really kind of say, all right, yeah, we have a floor model being built. But I will say this, I'm still following the Confluence floor model, which is 27.7K on Bitcoin. Until that is broken, I'm not going to worry too much. Now, I do want to talk today about Hedera. Obviously, the price action on Hbar sucks. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it or anything like that. But this is also why I've been trying to tell you guys that, although we have some very bad price action on Hedera, it doesn't mean that you can't still focus on the initial focus point, which is of course tokenization of some very large asset class. We're actually going to be talking about that. Now, also, I noticed something about the Hedera community. I know that we really kind of make jokes about Solana and things like that. I just tweeted out earlier last night. I was saying, I'm buying Solana at around the $15 to $25 range, and a lot of people, started hating on that tweet. And I just don't understand it. I mean, when you look at Solana and you look at the all-time highs and you look at where we currently are, and if we do go down to those prices that I mentioned, the upside potential is absolutely massive. We are here to make money on the short term, okay? And I'm just telling you guys right now, do I believe that Hbar is going to make a lot of money for investors? Yeah, but it's the question on like how long do we actually have to wait, because we're still seeing supply being released. So it's going to take a little bit more time for, Hbar to really kind of catch up to this market. So in the short term, it doesn't mean that we can't, go into other assets and diversify to make a ton of money so that we could reinvest those profits into Hbar, which is my plan with a lot of the assets that I do hold. So guys, I don't understand why we have to be hating on other, networks and things like that. Obviously, yes, it does go down. Yes, it's essentially broken, but it doesn't mean that we can't trade it and swing trade it for some major profit points. So I just wanted to really kind of reiterate the idea that it doesn't matter if you believe in an asset or not. You don't have to go all in on only one asset. You could also diversify and make a ton of money elsewhere as well in the short term. Now, I do want to talk to guys, like I said, about the long-term view here on Hedera. I've talked to guys about tokenization. Tokenization is huge. And we actually have this from DLA Piper, which is a GC member of Hedera's, and so is ServiceNow. Our chief innovation officer, Andrew Gasworth, and ServiceNow's Nicola Attico discussed our tokenization platform, Toko, the Hedera DLT, and ServiceNow at Knowledge 2022. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I made a slight video on this and I talked to you guys a little bit about it on what they were basically doing here. So obviously this is a tokenization engine that is wired in the Hedera distributed ledger technology, but it's also being utilized at DLA Piper to track SLA real-time tokenized budgets between departments, legal entities, and external vendors, and is critical for the next generation of ESG digital assets. The MVP is the first initiative in which DLA Piper and ServiceNow, both Hedera council members, are joining forces to build a DLT-based solution that expands the power of digital workflows within and across organizations. I think that this is awesome. I've told you guys about this. I've addressed DLA Piper in terms of a massive giant. We've talked about ServiceNow before. I think that these are great use cases as well, especially when you look at the clients behind DLA Piper, which are Global 1000 and Fortune 500 enterprises, but also they are working in, the Fortune 250 and also even FTSE 350 or their subsidiaries as well. So, there's some large names being worked with here from, DLA Piper, and I think that this is great for, Hedera. Obviously, like I said, when we talk about a lot of these use cases these are not going to, print massive amounts of dollar signs for Hbar. We still have to look at the, transactional fee on Hedera. It's still fairly, minimal. So when we talk about a lot of these use cases, they do, need to demand trillions and trillions of transactions before we do really start to see some major movement in terms of the Hbar price action. And don't get me wrong, in terms of an altcoin, Hbar will catch up to the market once we do see a major impulsive move in the market, and it's going to take time to get there. So I'm just not saying like, oh, Hbar is just a terrible asset to hold. I mean, in terms of price action and performance, it has been, but I do think that will change very, very soon once we do see the market kind of shift back into a nice sort of standpoint where, again, we are seeing some nice price action movement on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dominance starts to drop a little bit. So until then, I'm not taking any positions. I'm still waiting on lower price action for a lot of altcoins, and I do believe that we will get there eventually. Now, I do also want to talk to you guys about this going back to July of 2021. Hedera, Hashgraph, and LCX partner to develop infrastructure for digital securities. Now, yes, I talked to you guys about this at that time. LCX was one of the assets that I actually told you guys to diversify into before it did a 30x return. Now, that 30x return since then has been really kind of wiped off the board. We did take our profit points. I told you guys, I'm always a sucker for 10x, opportunities, and I always take my profit at around 10x. Of course, did I let it ride up a little bit for the 30x? It was a very minimal bag, if anything. So, again, I was sold out of LCX at that time. I told you guys, and I always lay out my trade patterns, especially with a lot of these altcoins, but LCX was definitely one that I was watching for closely during that summertime, and it was an incredible opportunity for us. I think that we actually still have a pretty good opportunity on it. I still think that LCX is one that we should be accumulating at some nice cheap prices. Like, we came down to like 6.5 cents. It's almost the same exact price as, Hbar. As you guys do see in the 1 month span, we came down to like roughly like 5.5 cents or so. Again, you guys could see exactly where we were accumulating this back in the summertime at, but like it was between like 2 and like 4 cents. And this thing ran to 50 plus cents. So this thing was pretty significant in terms of an ROI perspective. It did a great run, and it really kind of netted us some massive profit points. But the reason why I bring up LCX again is because of where we basically are positioned at in terms of tokenization. I shared with you guys multiple times in the past, and actually I think that this quoted tweet from QNT Mommy actually is pretty significant when we actually look at things happening. So zoom out for a second. Think about crypto market cap as a whole, $1.5 trillion, and right now we're sitting at about like $1.24 trillion, which is pretty significant. Global stock market capitalization is over $100 trillion. When the world gets tokenized and everything is running on a few preferred assets, you won't be asking, how can the market cap reach $1 trillion? We're at the ground floor, literally. And when we actually look at this, I mean, it is $109.21 trillion. And the reason why I bring this actually up, and the reason why I talk to you guys about, for example, like traditional markets and things like that, is because when you look at the landscape at which we are basically in, I do believe that tokenization will take over, especially the stock market. We actually look here, breaking, Hedera and SB Group came up with, a concept of a tokenized bond marketplace. The global bond market has more than tripled in size in the past 15 years and now exceeds $100 trillion, greater than 80% bigger than the global stock market. Hedera is the sleeping giant of crypto. And shout out to BitCat Hash for this, but this is actually an older tweet. This goes back again to that summertime. And this, by the way, just so that you guys know, during this entire time back in the summertime, that's when we did see this announcement with LCX. And we're going to be talking about LCX here shortly. But when we look at this, it is something pretty significant. This is Gildian Rosrau. I'm hoping that I'm saying that name right. I'm probably not. DLT Innovation Analyst at SB Group, Governing Council member, shares a vision for the decentralized economy starting with a tokenized bond marketplace. This would be significant. And honestly, Hedera does align perfectly with this. And this is where I really kind of look at things happening within Hedera. I think that Hedera is a perfect long-term hold. I also do think it's a good short-term hold. I think that in the short term, we will see a nice impulsive move throughout this market. And I do think that, HBAR at around like 8 cents is not too bad of a buy at all. But when we look at things happening around Hedera, the reason why I've always said that it's a perfect long-term hold is because of the vision that they are basically, trying to, achieve here. I think that when we talk about, tokenization in general, I've always said tokenization is going to be huge when you look at real estate and things like that that are trillion-dollar plus markets. But LCX is huge here. LCX with Hedera is the key because when we look at what LCX is trying to do here, so through the alliance, Hedera envisions leveraging the technology infrastructure of LCX to expand the Hedera token service with the addition of new security token standards and provide secure, reliable, transparent, and compliant infrastructure for digital securities to its users. This partnership will enable the Hedera and LCX community to benefit in numerous ways, including the Liechtenstein protocol, implement a new standard for digital securities enabling on-chain and on-token level compliance on the Hedera network, security token standard, develop a framework for the tokenization of securities, the infrastructure for security tokens and corporate tokens, permission-based tokens, HBAR listing on LCX exchange, listing Hedera's native cryptocurrency HBAR on LCX exchange. And like I said, when we talk about things happening here, this is talking about tokenization of, security tokens. And when we talk about that, that is also going to bleed into corporate tokens and things like that. This is where we do start to see the stock market basically becoming tokenized. And it's going to take a little bit of time to honestly get to that point. But I think that as more and more real world assets and asset companies in general start to kind of move into crypto, I think that that vision really kind of starts to come true. We've been seeing a lot of major companies, like for example, BlackRock with $10 trillion assets under management moving in on crypto and actually investing into, stable coins. We've also seen JP Morgan, joining in. We've also seen Goldman Sachs. We've been seeing a ton of major names. I mean, you look at Tesla, you look at Microsoft, Apple. I mean, all of these major companies are going to be at some point in time part of this entire infrastructure. And of course, when we talk about tokenization of the stock market, it's not going to be replacing the stock market. You're still going to have that tokenized stock market, but then the non-tokenized stock market. But it's still going to drive a ton of, volume and value. And I think that when we talk about things happening, you're looking at trillions and trillions of dollars. I mean, just if you look at the global bond market itself, this is 80% bigger than the global stock market. And when you look at again stocks in general, a lot of these are pretty significant in terms of the value amassed. I do think that we have a generational opportunity ahead of us, and I think that when we talk about tokenization and DLTs alike, it's going to take some time for them to truly be seen. That's why I always say, make as much money in the short term so that you could reinvest your profits into DLT technology like XRP, HBAR, LCX is a great opportunity as well. And you don't need to, again, diversify too much. All you have to do is really kind of pick the ones that you are comfortable holding long term. In my opinion, I do think that HBAR is great in terms of a compliance token, similar to XRP. But overall, when we look at LCX, LCX definitely is going to be at the forefront of, a tokenized stock market. And again, I think that it's going to be working with Hedera. I also think that they are going to most likely work with Quant as well, as LCX does have a partnership with Quant. But you guys can definitely see what they are trying to do here. I mean, they are offering, a massive amount of, for an example, we do see here, offering a range of digital currencies, but also in terms of this platform, it's going to also be, focusing on tokenization of assets, utility, and security token offerings and advanced trading tolls, sorry. And again, this is going to be focusing on everything that we've been talking about in terms of tokenization when we look at things like, again, tokenized stock markets, tokenized real estate, tokenized pretty much everything. I know that everybody likes to focus on NFTs and NFTs in general because NFTs right now are the big thing. For example, there's, NFTs that are out there that are making people, hundreds of thousands of dollars just from one alone. So when we talk about that, yeah, it's great to look at, but when we look at NFTs in general, it's something to really kind of continue to watch for, to really kind of, I would say, unfold into this massive opportunity ahead of us when we are talking about, for example, DLT technology and assets alike. But also you look at LCX's strategic partnerships, and you guys can see their partnerships here. World Economic Forum is almost like a partner of almost all of these assets, but it really kind of does show you where we are basically headed in terms of a digital asset class. I think that we are really kind of getting to that point where we are on that pivotal moment in time before we see that digital revolution take over in terms of almost everything. Almost everyday life in terms of finance will be entirely shifted towards a digital age. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.